Hi, this is Joe Satriani, and for my first lesson to you, I want to talk about melody. And it seems pretty easy. You get some chords together, you figure out what key you're in, but a lot of times I think melodies people embark on, tell the story too soon. And one way that you can stretch out a melody is to end your phrases on suspended notes. So the listener has to wait a little bit longer for another phrase to see where the whole thing's going. So let's say you've got a chord progression, starts with a big E chord. Now, of course, if you're starting a melody and it's going root, third, or fifth, anything like that, as soon as you hit that note, it's not really saying, hey, listen to what's coming next. It's actually saying, this just belongs here. So you start with, and that's not really very interesting. However, if you started with a 4, it's a suspended note, so you're leaving people hanging like, well, where's he going to go with it? So you could resolve it really quick by going to any one of the tones that are part of the chord you're at. So if you're still at the E chord and you're going, that's a resolution. If you go to a 2 or a 6, you're still suspending the idea of the melody, like it hasn't really finished yet. And you could keep that going. So we haven't really got a time frame here, but I'll play you just an improv on how long I could string this out, right? So it took a long time to get from, the 4 all the way down to the 1 to resolve. And if I was going to do the opposite, I would have just gone or, in other words, going to either the major third, the root, or the fifth. In any order, you could use both of them. We're obviously not working with an actual song that we know, so this demonstration is really just trying to focus on the notes of not only the key that you're in, the scale. In this case, we're just dealing with E major or E mixolydian, but we're really thinking about the chords and the triad notes of the chords, the root, the third, and the fifth. The other thing is you could play something more simple in the melody, but simply change the chords, and that also has a big impact on perhaps what people were expecting. And when you change that, when you kind of pull the rug out from underneath them, then you're also suspending this interest. You're making them hang out longer to see, well, what's he going to do with that note? So if I start with that 4th, but I just move some chords around, and then let's say I keep that and I go to a B minor 7 with a suspended 4th there, and I'm still playing this thing, and then I go perhaps to an A, and maybe I make that suspended. I'm still playing this melody, and then I go to the root, and then I finally resolve it. That's another way of just kind of stretching it out, but using less melody notes and making the harmony underneath it move around, and they sort of reflect on each other. So in summary, if you base your melody on the triad notes of the chords that you're at, in my opinion, you're just really sort of presenting the melody up maybe a little bit too soon. You're not really putting any mystery in it. You're not telling the side story of the melody. You stretch it out by making sure that the phrasing lands on suspended notes, the 2nd, the 4th, or the 6th. And you can do that, again, just by playing that or by holding on to a note and moving the chord underneath it, maybe some unexpected modulations in there, or even just keeping within the key. So try that out. That's real minimal. Just 1 to 2 notes, but I'm just moving around the bass note over and I'm picking E minor this time, and I'm using the E minor chord, the C major chord of almost any kind, A minor, throw in an F that's out of key, gives you a little F Lydian moment there. Back to A, using a D, suspended second, the G, the A, and then back to the E. This is, again, to show you just the opposite. Instead of keeping the chord the same and working all the suspended parts of the scale or the chordal tones, I'm using 1 or 2 notes, and I'm just moving the bass notes around and sort of creating a harmonic map that goes in and out of scale, but somehow still relates to that tonal center, which in this case was E.